What is going on, everyone? You're listening to 99 Yards here with your host, Alibot. And today, we got a special guest on the show. You want to introduce yourself? Let me go
Yeah,
ahead and
sure thing.
introduce yourself.
My name is Chandon. I was an offensive lineman for Brigham Young University out of Utah for 5 different years. Just finished my last season. We finished at 11-1, top 15 in the country, I believe. And we had a Joe Moore semifinalist O line. We had Zach Wilson as our quarterback, and now I'm just trying to figure out the draft process, try to see what's next and what opportunities lie down the road there. So it's
Yeah.
been a great process, and I'm excited to see what comes from it.
Yeah, I mean, y'all have a great class there. As you mentioned, Zach Wilson, of course, has been touted as one of the better quarterback prospects in this draft of stacked quarterback prospects. And something that hasn't been talked about was the O-line draft class. Also great. There's, of course, Penny Sewell is an amazing one, but then there's players like you who are also just amazing. And we'll be getting into that after this 30-second announcement if you're on Anchor. If you're on YouTube or any other platform, let's just get straight into this. So before we get into the whole NFL draft prospect college, let's just start off from where it started. Where did you get this love of football from?
So I first started playing football in 7th grade. I grew up in a
Mm-hmm.
small community, and that was the first you could play. We didn't really have flag or Pop Warner stuff that you could do before then.
Mm-hmm.
So that was when I started beyond just backyard football or playing with friends. And it was a lot of fun. It was a small school, so up through my sophomore year in high school, I was able to play on every team. So I was on kickoff. I'd step on the field for kickoff,
Mm-hmm.
and I would be on the field until halftime, and step back on for kickoff
Yeah.
return, and be on field the entire time. And I got to play defense, offense, all the special teams, and I got a really good grasp and understanding of the game, being able to do that, and it was honestly great. But then my junior and senior year, my family moved to a larger community, and football was a lot more competitive there. And that's when I started to really see the awesome nature and competitive side of it, where I got specialized more as an O lineman and a D lineman. And it was great. And the opportunity came to play in college, and that was where I realized I'm like, you know what? Like, not only is this something I've enjoyed and I can do, but this is something that could impact my future. It can pay for school
Mm-hmm.
and potentially more opportunities in the future. And so I went off, played in college, and it was a great experience, great opportunity. I had, from the first coach that started recruiting me to the last coach I played for, I had 5 O-line coaches.
Oh, wow.
And so I got a wide range of the different styles there are, the different offenses, and the different techniques, and just everything. I just ate it up. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And so through playing in college and doing well there, and now have the opportunity to go to the NFL, it's a great way to put it is everything is a hobby until somebody is willing to pay you for it.
Yeah,
And
that's
so
great.
now,
Yeah.
now I have the opportunity to make it a career and a job,
Mm-hmm.
and that's awesome, and it's very humbling to know that I'm able to do that. But it's great to see that I have the opportunity to see how good I can be at something.
Mm-hmm. And I was watching another interview with you, and I think it was the BYU interview, but it was another interview, and you said that in high school, it's kind of funny to me. Whenever you were a freshman, you started off with the freshmen, and then you ended up with training with the seniors and stuff. Was that true?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was my first camp at BYU. I
Mm-hmm.
went for a week-long summer camp, and the camp is split in half. On one side is all the freshmen and sophomores, and on the other side is the juniors and seniors.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm out there the first day with the freshmen and sophomores, and then the coaches come by, notice, golf cart pulls up, it has the head coach and O-line
Mm-hmm.
coach. They're like, why is he over here? You're like, oh, the freshman. Like, bring him over here. And so I went and I
Mm-hmm.
worked out and trained with the juniors and seniors
Yeah.
for the rest of the campus. So it was
as
great.
We were talking about it, and you said you're 6'7" right now. How tall were you back then?
I don't remember exactly. Probably like 6'2".
Oh wow.
Like
How
6'2", 6'3", something like that.
if you don't mind me asking, how old were you back then as well? Just to get it.
Freshman year of high school, so probably 15. Is that how old you are then?
I'm 15. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So wow, that's. Did you ever consider playing basketball around that?
So my dad jokes that I'm one of his biggest failures because I didn't play basketball. So
Hmm.
what I did was I wrestled and played football.
Okay,
So
that makes
those are the
sense.
two big sports that I did.
Hmm. Yeah, wrestling. Yeah, wrestling. I've heard more wrestling that like is about technique though. Is that true? Like I'm just yeah,
Yeah,
because
there's
like
definitely an aspect of strength and endurance and all that, but a
hmm
lot of it is technique. You can go against guys that are just meatheads that are super strong, and you could beat them
hmm
fairly easily because of just you have better technique than they do.
hmm
And the same goes with O linemen and D linemen. Like if you're playing against a guy that just, yeah, he's not the fastest or the strongest guy in the world, but his technique is on point every play, he's so much harder to handle because that's a big advantage. But then if you
hmm
combine the two of strength and technique, you're a whole different animal.
yeah, because we have well at our school we actually have a great wrestler at our school, and I mean I always like walk around and around the school, and like I see him and walking the hallways. I'm like, this guy's shorter than me. He doesn't look that big, and yet he's the best wrestler we got, and that's
Yeah.
just crazy to me. Yeah, um but basically, so right now, one of the biggest things I've seen when I was like reading your draft profile and everything, there weren't many red flags at all, because the fact that you do something that a lot of O linemen can't do, and you play right tackle, guard, almost every single position on the O line. How does that work? And now I've started like learning more about it, and that's not easy to do at all. Just from going from right tackle to left tackle is a process in itself.
Hmm. Yeah. So that I attribute to the coaches that I've had. So my
Hmm.
last coach I had for my junior and senior year was his name's Eric Mateos. He's now the offensive line coach at Baylor.
Hmm.
And he in spring ball in particular, he'd randomly for a team period where we're going just good on good against the defense, he'd be like, okay, we're going to play musical chairs, and he'd move us to different
Yeah.
positions. And so you had to, he did it so you had to really understand your technique, but then understand the scheme, and you weren't just caught in a rut of, oh, I only know how to think of it from this spot. And it was fun, just change up practice. But
Hmm.
I was good at it. And then when injuries came across different positions in the O line, and
Hmm.
we had a younger guy come into play, he's like, well, this younger guy could never play at this other spot, but he can play
Hmm.
here where Chandon's at. Chandon is able to switch spots, and so I had the
Yeah.
opportunity to develop in those different positions. Like last year, I spent lots of time at left guard for the first half of the year, then was right guard the second half. Then my senior season, I started at right tackle, then I was at right guard for 6 games, and I was back to right tackle, then I ended at left guard. And so it just,
Hmm.
the year before that, I was left tackle and right tackle. I just, you bounce around, and for me, it makes it fun. It makes you better
Hmm.
appreciate and understand the game and how positions work together. But it's just a great opportunity. I loved it. I'm glad I was able to do it.
Are you or well, if you go into the NFL, what are you listed at exactly?
As far as drafting prospects,
Yeah. Yeah, what are you listed
so
at?
yeah, so I've had the opportunity to interview with basically, I believe, every single team so far, and it's been a great process. They're all great organizations, and I've heard that I have potential to be a fourth round pick through like the sixth
Hmm.
round.
Okay. Do you know where they like want you to play? Like on the O line? Is there
It that depends on the team.
that depends on
So
the team?
some teams see me more as a tackle, some
Hmm.
teams like me more at guard, and then other teams like me as a swing player. So
Okay,
it's
that makes sense.
yep.
Yeah. That yeah. And I brought that up because like I played football in seventh grade, and I'm still not big as And I played O lineman. I was supposed to be a QB, lost my spot. That's not the point at all. Not good. Don't worry about that. But I lost my spot, and I had to switch to O lineman because we had no O lineman. I was like one of the biggest players, like tallest players. One game, I tell my coach, I'm like, okay, what if I play guard? And I'm like, okay, this shouldn't be that tough at all. The first play I go in at guard, coach is like, okay, you're gonna get your shot at guard. Okay. I was playing left tackle before that. I go at guard. And I try to play as a left tackle. I'm going back, and I just let up a sack. I'm like, I'm not doing that again. You just put me back at left tackle. So yeah, that was just crazy. Me whenever I first saw that was the first thing I
Oh,
saw.
for sure. Yeah, dude. The first few times you're switching spots, it's different. But
Hmm.
you figure it out as you have to do it more.
Oh yeah, yeah. Nah, yeah. I lost my spot at guard, after that. I never even got close to that. But yeah, nah. So that was crazy to me. And there have been success within the NFL of players like that who have made switches and just are good at that. And I think Elijah Vera Tucker is a guy that stands out to me this year who's also looking like that. And it's crazy because like back like a long time ago, I don't think O line has been touted this highly in a long time. I don't think it has because we used to like O line used to be like, oh, you have an O lineman. No one really talked about him like that. But I think people have realized that you need an O line to be good now. You really do because as you can see, I'm a Giants fan right here. And
Yep.
we we're building an O line, and it's been a process. I think it really has. And once if you don't have that, you can't build around a quarterback without an O line. You can't build around a running back without an O line. You can't really build around receivers either because you can't build around a QB. You can't build around receivers. So, but I don't think people have realized that, and especially the style of running now. We've seen a lot more RPOs in past games, read options, and dives and single back formations. Gun formations with just one running back, and it's we don't. Derrick Henry's the only old school running back in my opinion, and even that he has that speed aspect to him, like the stretch plays and stuff like that. So it's crazy to me with that, but
it's
yeah.
true. No, you look at the most successful teams every year, the ones that put up the most yards, that give up the least hits on their quarterback, just the ones that their teams stay healthier and just all around perform better are the teams that have a solid O line with them.
Mm-hmm.
And the teams that struggle is like, so you look at the Super Bowl with the Chiefs, because of injury, their O line, which
Yeah.
was one of the better ones in the league that got them to that opportunity, because of injury, they were short guys, and it hurt them in the game, and that's I argue why that's they lost.
And Patrick
Because
Mahomes was running for his life in that game.
exactly, like he's an incredible quarterback, and he has
Oh, yeah.
incredible weapons, but you can't.
That was one of the worst games I've seen from him just because he couldn't do anything.
No, you can't. He's going against one of the best D linemen ever, one of the best D lines ever fielded.
Yeah.
And he just didn't have the O line that he was used to, and so it really hurts you.
And well, the other team was Tampa Bay, Tom Brady. Okay, so now this is the crazy part. You're 25 right now, right?
Yes.
So really, Tom Brady was playing like before you were born. Is that still like if you ever go against him? Is that crazy to you that you'll see a guy that you literally grew up watching?
Oh, it's awesome. It's just crazy. It speaks to how great of an athlete he is and how well he plays the game because he's lasted that long. And so it's a great standard and like goal to set. It's like, you know what, like I want to be similar to that. Obviously, I'm not a quarterback, but
yeah,
just it's impressive to see, and the knowledge the guy has. It'd be great to play around him and be able to pick his mind a little bit. So yeah, he's a great person to look up to.
Yeah, because like that's still crazy because Drew Brees retired this year and he was what 41, 40? Like he was also up there in age, but then Tom Brady's not slowing down. This guy just switched teams and still won a Super Bowl and was playing probably better than I've seen him. Like people have always said, "Oh, okay, maybe he lacks arm strength." He proved that wrong this year. He threw for what, like 5,000 yards? Like yeah,
he threw a lot.
yeah, and I'm a big stat guy. I'm a huge stat guy. I'll use stats in a lot of arguments. And I was looking at it as like IAY, which is intended air yards. It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy because I was trying to before the season I had Drew Brees like above him. I was like, okay, yeah, should be something there. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, I should probably retract that statement because that arm is just crazy at that age.
We've had some great quarterbacks through the last few years. Think of, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Pat Mahomes, Drew Brees. We just have the league is loaded with insane quarterbacks right now.
Yeah. And BYU's quarterback, Zach Wilson, that's been the talk about him all along. His arm, were you at the pro day with him or
Yep.
was that okay, so you were. Of course there was that one throw that everybody's talking about.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
his little like fadeaway
I
60-yard
don't
leisure
do
little
that.
toss that was perfect. I don't. Yeah, he amazes us every day.
Yeah, and there was just one thing. Remind me about that later. Okay. There was only one thing I think people could say that. Oh, I wish we could have seen this from him, and it's kind of like as a result of how good that or how good Jal played. It was the fact that we didn't see him under pressure too much, and it was crazy because like that's all they were saying. Like they were like, you know what? There's only one thing about it, and there's like no pressure. Like, but he looked like he could throw under pressure, like that. As we said,
Yeah,
the fadeaway shot or the fadeaway throw, like for 60 yards. That's crazy. But
he has played under pressure in practice.
okay.
Our D line last year was incredible, and when we would rotate in and
Mhm.
mix guys, so the starting O line wasn't in, he was definitely some pressure he had to deal with there.
Yeah.
So no, but that's true. He's our O line performed really well, so that he wasn't able to show in games as much how well he plays in that aspect of the
Mhm.
game.
Yeah. But how because he does run a lot. He does run a lot. And how does that work with like um trying to contain or guard a guy like that who does move around a couple plays, and will take off if he needs to. Does that like ever like kind of annoy you in a way that like you on one side and then he's on the other side?
No, because it's if he leaves the pocket, he knows that we're not able to do as much
Mm-hmm.
as we can if he stays there. And so
Mm-hmm.
when he rolls out, yeah, we scramble as well, and we try to get out to give him more time and recreate a pocket, if you will. But once he leaves the pocket, I can't hold my guy, so I have
Yeah.
to go. And
Mm-hmm.
I know, but that's the thing is with how mobile and how athletic and smart he is as a player, you know that if he rolls out, he's getting a better opportunity there,
Mm-hmm.
and that he's not going to get sacked from there, because I don't think he had any scramble where he rolled out of the pocket sacks this year, if I
Mm-hmm.
remember correctly.
I think like really like the whenever he did run, I think it was more of designed runs because I saw a lot of plays where it was either read options or
Mm-hmm.
just quarterback like dives or something like that
Yeah,
where it's just design runs, which makes a lot of sense because the guy can move. The guy can move. He has an
he
arm.
can move and he can make good decisions. And if we could, well, we were able to demonstrate, because we had great running backs, we had
Mm-hmm.
great receivers, we had great tight ends. If we were able to demonstrate that he was a threat on multiple levels as well, it helped our offensive goal of attacking
Mm-hmm.
every team everywhere on the field. We'll attack you with depth, we'll attack you laterally, we'll
Mm-hmm.
make you defend the entire field. And so
Yeah.
he fit our scheme very well.
Yeah. And Dax Mullane, or how do you say his name?
Milne.
Millen? Okay. Yeah, I've been saying Mullane. I was like, that does not seem right at all. Millen? He's a dog. He's like,
Oh yeah.
yeah. I watched this film. I'm like, how's this guy not talked about it enough? Like, and then y'all also have number 19. I keep forgetting his name. What's his name? The other receiver.
Romney?
Yeah, Romney. He's good too, and yeah, y'all's receiving core was also on point. So that O line, or y'all, and then you also on the O line, y'all have Blake Christensen.
Yep.
And so how tightly knitted were y'all, like just outside of football? Just
So our O line was a really close group. We did lots of stuff together. Like over the summer, we do barbecues, we do little group dates. Lots of the guys are married,
Mhm.
and it just we did things together. We spent lots of time lifting and running over the off season, getting extra work in, extra film. So we were together a lot, and we had played together for a number of years, and so
Mhm.
we had a great chemistry, and that's why we're able to have a special year, because we'd all played together a long time. We had all put in the work needed to have that opportunity, and then we had great weapons on offense, and so it all just added up to have a special year.
Yeah. Okay, so with that, so I've heard that like that if that O line's like just not ever like together, like if y'all just don't have the connection, it's tough to like get on. So like, what's that like in game? just in game? What's
Yeah.
that like?
So what makes the most is just when you're trusting the guys you're playing with. So the O line, what makes it so unique is we are a team within a team, and with the five of us, if we're all on the same page doing the right thing, great things happen. But if one person's wrong, it jeopardizes everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so with the time spent together, you build that trust and that reliance on each other. So you're doing pass protection against a certain pressure. Okay, if this guy's crossed my face over here, I don't have to worry about it. I don't have to hesitate and go back with them to make me late somewhere else because I know that Brady or James or Tristan or whoever is there.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you are able to operate off of one mind in a way to where you know how each other respond and react, then the game slows down, you play fast, and you make smart and wise decisions, and you're all on the same page. And that's where the value lies.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. So, who was y'all's best opponent? Like, or that gave y'all a like struggle on the O line that you would say?
Honestly, it would be our D line in practice. We had
Okay.
just a bunch of animals on our D line this last year. Like we had Bracken O'Backery, Kyrus
Mm-hmm.
Tonda, Zach
Oh
Baugh,
yeah.
Lorenzo, Lopa. There's lots of guys. Tyler Batty. Like I could keep going. We have our ones, twos, and threes on our D line
Mm-hmm.
were just scrappy, strong, fast, athletic dudes.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did well in our games because we were getting good work during the week against amazing, amazing opponents.
Mm-hmm. Perfect practice makes perfect.
Yeah.
That's what they say. And I want to talk about. I want to backtrack a little. The pro day, right? And if I can put it up here, I think I have the picture saved. I want to show it because you had a monster pro day. There it is.
Yep.
There's a pro day stats. You ran a 4.94, which is really good for O lineman. And then y'all had like, so were you going into that like, was there a goal for you and almost every single um drill?
Yeah, there was. I had in my mind two numbers. I had the number that an O lineman needed to get, and I had the number that I knew I would get.
Mm-hmm.
And so with my 40, I knew I just had to be under 5 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
For the type of O lineman that I am. For O lineman in general, like a 5'1" is okay. But if I can be under 5, that's great.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd consistently run in the 4.9s. And so my personal goal for that was to get into the 4.8. So like Brady ran a 4.89.
Yeah.
And so I was like, dang it.
Yeah.
And so I really was wanting to hit a 4.8 with my run. And then with the other ones for the different drills, like the 5-10-5, that one I wanted to hit under a 4.5,
Mm-hmm.
and I was able to hit that. Then the L drill, I wanted to hit under a 4.7, and I hit that. But those times that they post are not necessarily the times that scouts have taken as well. So I'm kind of curious all the numbers that the teams are actually looking at. I know some of them are very good, but I know some of them have got to be bad as well.
Mm-hmm.
My vertical, I wanted to hit 30 inches, so I was disappointed that I was a bit short. I had a jump where I hit it, but I scratched on that jump.
Oh.
And so I'm like, again, dang it. My broad jump was good. 9.5 was where I wanted to hit at least, but I was hoping to get maybe a 9.6 or 9.7. So everything I hit was where I wanted to, but there were some things I wanted to do a little bit better.
Okay, that makes sense. But okay, so a lot of people, like, of course, everybody was out there for, as we've mentioned, Zach Wilson, of course, like all the scouts and stuff. But everybody's talking about like what happened with you, Blake, all that, which was surprising because like y'all kind of stole the show a little bit because I don't think because as we mentioned, you play guard and tackle, and for guards, I would say that you can get away with like a lower time because it's more power. But you ran faster than both those numbers. So that was just crazy to me. So what was the preparation like going into that?
So I had the opportunity to train in Denver, Colorado. I was at a place called Landau Performance. It's owned by Lauren Landau, who's actually now the strength coach for the Broncos.
Mm-hmm.
But he's been doing combine and pro day training for decades, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
And so our head trainer for it, his name is Augie, and we had a number of other guys, like Davis and Will and Wrigley. We had a bunch of great trainers there, and we spent 3 months, just about 2 months, something like that, 2.5 months, working on being more explosive, being faster, and a little bit of cardio. And then we had our position work where I had an O-line mentor. His name's Luke Bowenko. He was a center in the league for about
Oh
6
yeah,
years.
I
He's
know
a
this.
great player, great
Oh
mentor.
yeah.
I owe a lot to him as far as how I was able to do in position work, and it was great. And so the training at Landau was everything that we did, where you
Yeah.
had a good diet and regular training and recovery, and then position work as well.
And he if I'm thinking about the right guy, he just got done playing football not too long ago, did he?
Yeah, he retired like a year or two ago.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's not familiar. Okay, so yeah, that's great. I mean, if you have a good mentor, like that's just amazing because like the opportunity is always there, like with the mentor, because with experience, learning from like people who've already done it
Mm-hmm.
is just the best. So yeah, so that was crazy, but so I wanted to backtrack a little bit more, backtracking, but again with the draft portfolio, I think there was really only one thing that stuck out on the side that was like kind of negative, if you would say, but it was the fact that you went on a mission, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you came in, right? And you're 25 right now.
Yeah, I'm as old as Pat Mahomes.
Yeah. So, some would say that you are coming in a little late, like to the draft. What would you have to say to that?
Yeah, so some people do view age as a problem, but I really don't. I see it only in a positive light for
Mm-hmm.
several aspects. First and foremost is that linemen generally don't peak till they're a little bit
Mm-hmm.
later.
Yeah.
They have their best years of their career between 26 and 28, 29.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going in right at the right time for that.
Mm-hmm.
And then going on a mission and having the opportunities that come with that and going through college a little bit older, it makes me more mature and bringing that value to a team to where they know I'm not going to be a PR problem, but I'll be able to help, bring some sort of stability and mature aspect to the team, especially with younger guys that come in. And guys come into a lot of money sometimes in the NFL and really get into trouble with it. And knowing that I won't be a concern with that. So I don't see my age as an issue at all because my body is healthy and I get better every single year. And with that steady improvement, I think it's only a problem when you see it stop or go down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And to touch on the mission part, was that a reason that you went to BYU? Because I know Taysom Hill was actually there because of that. But was that a reason that you picked BYU?
Yeah, so BYU is a school that's operated by our church, by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and that's the church that I went on a mission for. And so some schools will work with you, and they'll hold a scholarship for you to go on a mission. But BYU, I knew they were guaranteed to hold that regardless if the coaching staff changed. But then I knew I would be in a really good environment. Like it's a challenge academically, and then the people in the locker room aligned more with kind of my goals and expectations for life. And I was very blessed to be around great guys like Brady Christensen, Zach Wilson, and then James M.B. and Kiefer Longson, Harris LaChance. I could go on and on. There's a lot of incredible dudes on the team that I became a better football player with, yes, but also a better man as well. So that's why I went to BYU.
And so moving away from football for a second, how do you balance the aspect of school and football?
Yeah, so that is kind of tricky at BYU because BYU is very rigorous with education. People don't everybody I talked to that went to BYU that now goes to another school is like, dude, it's so much easier. BYU professors demand a lot from you, but that's why BYU education is a highly sought after one. But it's a good process. Our coaches and our assistant academic staff at the school were incredible at helping you plan out a good schedule that didn't interfere with football as far as practice. But then there's great support staff on the third floor of the student athlete building where you could have access to a tutor if you needed it, where you could have quiet study rooms to go and get your work done. They provided, if you needed help in some way, there was a way to get it. And no, nobody would do your work for you by any means, but they would help you learn and understand at your pace with how you need to do things so you could excel in your coursework. Which, a great shout out is to Brady Christensen and James MP. They're both graduating from the Marriott School of Business at BYU, which is, I believe, it's number one in the country right now.
Oh, wow.
And they did that with James is staying one more year, but Brady's going. He's going to be first, second, third round pick. He's an incredible athlete, so it didn't hurt him in the slightest. And that's just because we recognize at BYU that you're a student athlete, you're a student first. And if you don't do well academically, then you can't do well with football.
So now with that being said, like, what was the grade for that? Like that, was there a grade limit for that? Did you have to meet every semester or something?
I believe you have to be just 2.5, I think is your minimum GPA, maybe a 2.0. I don't know what the minimum is, because in my family, like, you have to do well with your grades, and so I did well with mine. But most guys, I don't believe, have a problem with the minimum for it. Just make sure you get a quality education while you are there.
Now, what was your major? Because while we're on the topic, what was your major exactly?
Mine was construction management and business management.
Okay. Was that, like, did you always want to get into that?
So I originally was going into supply chain management in the business school, but then was introduced to I became good friends with the guys named Braden McCracken. He's a good friend of mine, and he and my roommate Tanner Johnson convinced me to do the intro class to construction management. And I'd helped, like, I was younger when my family built a home in Arizona, and so I kind of played around with it then and helped. But then I worked for a concrete company and really enjoyed it. I love the work, and it's a very rewarding thing to do because, like, you think about a home or a water treatment facility, anything like that, it's a huge investment by the community or by a family. And so being able to deliver a good product that is challenging for me to build and it provides new opportunities it's a great thing to do. So, football ends eventually, and when that day comes, I'll have to find something in construction that I want to do. But right now the plan's football. But it's a good place to be, and so that's why I chose it.
Yeah, that's always something, because, like, a lot of players, a lot of people, they just don't realize that, like, whenever you're out football, like, you on a football scholarship, you still have to go to school. Like, that's not an option, So yeah, that's always interesting, and I think more, and as you mentioned, getting that money is at, like, whenever you're 21 years old is not something that's common for, like, that's not something a lot of. Usually there's a process before you get that. Like, you're at 30 years old before you're making the money that a 21-year-old's making in football. And a 30-year-old is probably going to be wiser with the decisions than a 21-year-old.
Hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. So, yeah. And always having that mindset that you are doing something is always big. So that's always great. So now moving back to the NFL now and football. This draft process, how has that been? And you haven't had the combine, and there has been some stuff that was left out, of course, because of COVID. How has that impacted you?
It's been interesting. One thing I wish I would have had the opportunity to do is every team is allowed, I believe, 30 athletes that they can bring to their facilities. And they do medical check. They'll give you some gear. They show you what's going on. And you just get comfortable with their facilities and their staff. And I would have liked to have those visits to interview and work out with those different teams. But because of COVID, we are unable to. And so a lot of it is just over the phone or Zoom call interviews where they ask you about background, school, family, and then football questions. And it's
Mm-hmm.
a funny process because some coaches that you'll interview with, they'll pull up some clips of you playing,
Mm-hmm.
and they always pull up your worst clips. And so they're like, all right, walk me through this. And I'm like, well, so this is what's supposed to happen. And this is where I went wrong. This is what the call was, or this is like this actually wasn't a bad play. This is what was supposed to happen and whatnot. But it's just a great opportunity to see how resourceful teams are at making sure they're able to vet you as well as they want, that they're able to still get a good interview process going and have good exposure to teams. Um, but yeah, I do wish I had the opportunity to go visit some of their facilities and kind of
Mm-hmm.
meet their staff beforehand, but that's okay. Comes
Yeah.
with times.
Yeah. Has there ever been like, has there ever been moments where like you've messed up, but then somehow make a great play? Like because I know like O line's like one of those where you can mess up at the start, but then you can just power through it and like make a great play.
Yeah. So it's um, I had an O line coach my freshman year. His name was Mike Empey, who he said, if you're gonna die, die slowly.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you get beat or something bad is happening, like yes, you can't change the fact that that's a bad play. Like you're going to get a minus. It's not a good grade. Any of that. But that doesn't mean you stop playing football. So like when in doubt, pick one out is something you hear O linemen say all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you mess up on something, it's like, oh crap. Well, the play's still going. I'm just going to go head hunting. I'm going to go
Mm-hmm.
find somebody and I'm going to punish them.
Mm-hmm.
So at the very least, coach can't question my effort or the fact that I love what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so like sometimes you mess up. Like it sounds stupid, but there's some plays you're supposed to go left and
Yeah.
you go right. It
Yeah.
just it happens.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's only happened to me, I think, like once or twice in 5 years of playing. But it does happen, and so you just have to make the most of it, and it's a fun process. So you just go head hunting, try to find
Yeah.
somebody, and make their day miserable.
Yeah. Is it satisfying whenever like you just like pancake someone? Just
Oh,
like
that's the best feeling in the world when you reach the point that you're able to impose your will on somebody else
mm-hmm.
against their own will. That's a great feeling. You pancake them and just lay on top of them. You're like, yeah, I got you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and as I said, like me being an O lineman, I was like coach, and the first thing coach would tell me before a game is, if you're having a bad day, just go blow someone up. Like that. So have you ever woken up with a bad just woken up and just like woken up at a bad day, game day, and then just want to hit every single play or anything that moves?
Yep. That's what you do. Like if something goes wrong, just when in doubt, pick one out. Just go find somebody and ruin their day.
Mm-hmm. And well, here's a question from a viewer, and he said, "Where do you think Zach Wilson would go in the draft? Because he's of course first or right now one of the highly touted prospects. Where do you think he would go?"
So that's a great question, and I wish I was able to see teams' draft boards and see where they put him as a comparison. Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, but I could see him going as first or second overall pick just because he really is an amazing athlete and a great quarterback. He does all the work he needs to, and then some, and
mm-hmm.
has the talent to go with it. So I'm excited to see what he's able to do. He's a great player. He's a good guy. And I'm just excited to see what's in store for him.
Mm-hmm. And if you get drafted by the same team as Zach Wilson, what would that be like?
That'd be fun. I mean, being around a familiar face is always nice. That's and I know I'm playing with a guy that puts in the work and is
mm-hmm.
a great player. So it's just all the good things, and knowing him would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, that's. And how close to y'all? Like just because, as we said, with the O lineman, y'all have to be tightly knitted. But even just with QB.
Yeah. So when the O line would do barbecues and whatnot over the summer, we'd invite
mm-hmm.
the quarterbacks. They'd join us for things. Zach would host barbecues at his house sometimes. Um, we would, after practice in the locker room, like we're around each other. We spend lots of time, like football, especially with COVID. You're only around other football players,
Mm-hmm.
and so we're all good friends. We get each other pretty well, and we're with each other a lot for just workouts and school. It's good. We know each other pretty well.
Mm-hmm. And someone wanted me to tell you that your hat is amazing.
Oh,
It
thank
looks
you.
good. Yep, yep. That's a great hat, and yeah. But yeah, so that's a huge deal because I think yeah, as you said with COVID, like you're only meeting football players. I'm thinking because did you have any issues with COVID and BYU?
Yeah, BYU had one game canceled because of COVID.
Mm-hmm.
We were supposed to play Army in September,
Mm-hmm.
but that was canceled because we had a couple. I don't know all the details for it, but because of COVID, that game was canceled. So we had about 2 weeks off, and it was actually during that period of time that I got COVID.
Oh, okay.
So I was lucky enough that I didn't miss a game at all.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I fell victim to the coronavirus.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up, but yeah, that's what was that like? What was that like? Because I know it's different for everybody. Of course, the NBA Donovan Mitchell, he said he was asymptomatic, and there have been players like that. But what was it like? What was it like?
It really wasn't too bad for me. Like it just when I would work out, my lungs would burn a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and then I'd randomly get super tired. But other than that, felt like I had a cold. So
Yeah.
you be sitting around just doing. I still had to attend school virtually, so
Mm-hmm.
sitting there in class doing homework and just randomly just like, oh, I need to lay down. Like I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
It was the weirdest thing, but it really wasn't too bad for me. But I know some people it was really difficult for. I had family members go to the hospital for it. Like it's a dangerous thing.
Yeah, and of course we saw like the numbers, like there have been some really bad cases, but for the most part, I think there we do look at like the death toll, stuff like that, the scary parts of it. But there have been like cases where like, and of course now we're more advanced. I think it's funny to me. We always like be joking around because whenever we first started, at least my family, like we would go to the grocery store and we set everything out in front of the sun, sanitize everything, and now we just like get the bags, just take them out of the bag, and just put them in. Like it's changed so much. It has changed so much, and I think everybody was there was fear definitely at first because it was basically the fear of the unknown, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, but did you have any lingering effects after that?
No. Once I had made it through my set quarantine time, I jumped back in, practiced, and played. I had one practice before our next game, and just went in, played, felt normal. So it was.
Did,
I was very fortunate.
did you even know that you had COVID like before you got tested?
No, we have regular testing for football.
Mm-hmm.
We got tested, I believe it was 3-4 times a week. And I got a phone call from our training staff like, hey, don't come to workouts. You have COVID. I'm like, oh, crap.
Okay. Yeah. But yeah. Yeah, so that's amazing. But like that's good that like of course nothing happened and that's a great story there. But yeah. So I want to get back into the NFL and kind of wrap it up here a little. And basically it's right now looking forward to the NFL. What is something that you're like hyped for, excited for, just can't wait to be a part of?
I'm excited to have the opportunity to play there. I mean, everything we do in life, our goal is to be the best that we can be at it. And so I've been playing football for a long time, and I've invested a lot into it. And I'm a good football player, but I want to see how great I could be. I want to see how I can compete against the best that there are, and I want to see like what mark I can make with it. And in the NFL, what's cool is it's a unique stage as well that you do more than play football. You can influence a lot of people's lives, and you can help a lot of different issues that are going on. And so I'm excited to see what I can do football wise, but then in the off season and then as issues come up in our country and around the world to be able to bring attention to those issues and help come to solutions for things.
Yeah, so that's big. And of course, like, so right now, like the NFL, the defensive lines, as we mentioned, Tampa Bay's defensive line. Are you ready? Or like, of course you're ready, but like, do you think you're ready in that sense that like for that first moment on that field, like you're prepared? Because I know a lot of people they go into the league thinking they're all set, and it just hits them the first like shot of like an NFL hit or whatever.
Yeah, I know it's going to be a transition process. I know there's like I'm going to go in juice and I'm going to give it my all, and I believe I will do well.
Mm-hmm.
But I know like if I go and my first play is against Aaron Donald,
Yeah.
like I I know that he's a freaking incredible player, and
Yeah.
so I'm going to do my darndest to make sure that I do my job and prevent
Yeah.
him from doing his. But like he's playing in a league of his own. Like there's the
Yeah.
NFL and then there's where he's playing.
Oh yeah.
And so like yes, I know that I will be beat sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody is. There's no such thing as a perfect game.
Mm-hmm.
But I believe that that's where I belong and that's where I can play well is in the league, and I'm just excited for the chance to prove that.
Yeah. I mean, have you've seen the video of him practicing with those well, I think they're fake knives, but like just the fact that he even does that is just that guy is just
That's a great way to illustrate the work that has to be put in. That's
mm-hmm.
just him working on hand fighting. And that's extra work. That's beyond practice. That's him
Mm-hmm.
getting great at his craft. And that's why he's a great player. And so if I want to be that type of player, but as an O lineman, I have to match or do more work than that so that
Mm-hmm.
I can be who I want to be.
Yeah. Who are like 3 or 4 or who are like 3 players that you're like ready to play, like that like you just want to get on the field and like play against them,
That
whether
play against right off the bat?
yeah.
Oh, well, I would love to play Aaron Donald, J.J. Watt, of course, Adonican Sue, JPP.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd take any of them. I mean, it's regardless of where I go, there's great D linemen across the
Mm-hmm.
league. I know I'll have a great opportunity learning and improving wherever I go. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that's about all I have to say. Did you want to add on anything or ask me a question?
no, dude, it's been awesome. Thanks for having me. It's been great chatting with you.
Yeah.
If you ever need anything from me, just DM me and let me know.
Yeah. Again, good luck on the draft. Good luck with that whole process. And yeah, whenever draft grade comes, I'll be hoping to see your name early. And yeah. So
Thanks,
yeah, so if you're on for everybody who's watching, if you're on YouTube, just go ahead, subscribe, like, all that stuff. If you're on Anchor, I don't know how that works, but I think you can follow me. So go ahead and do that. And that's about gonna do it here. Did you want to send us off?
Yeah, sure thing. I'll add. Give me a follow on Instagram, Twitter, any of that. It's just my name. Love to have that from you guys. Just kind of see how I try to share what's going on in the process. So I know my family loves just kind of seeing how it works out. So feel free to drop us a follow.
Yeah. So thank you again for coming on, and I'll see you again later.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Have a good one.
See. Okay. So that's gonna do it here, guys. It's gonna do it here. It's gonna do it here. Is there any questions? Any questions in the chat? That was a fun episode. That was a fun episode. Very fun episode to record. And yeah, I'm gonna see you guys later. How do I end this thing? I didn't end it, did I?